Hi, this is Dr. Brenda with the Corner Bench, and I wanted to get to the E part of beers. The first E, there's behavioral health, emotional health, which I'm going to talk about in this segment, economical health, there's going to be relational health, and social health. So, to start talking about our emotional health, and before we talked about behavioral health. Now, behavioral health is very important because our behavior affects everything we do. And our emotions affect our behavior, how we feel. And what are our emotions? The happy, the sad, the glad, the mad, the excited, surprise, those are the emotions that we operate on. And it's not normal for people to be whoop, 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 24 hours a day, because that's not balanced emotions. Just like it should not be normal that people are sad 24 hours a day, because that's not normal emotion either. Or should I say, it's not balanced emotion. And it's like we have to be able to give a check on ourselves to see how we're doing emotionally, going through different challenges and experiences and phases. Somebody can say a word when you're going through an instance that can literally cause you to bust out in tears. It's happened to me a number of times, because if you are not able to talk about the things that you're going through, and then when you finally or when you finally get a chance to, or someone may just ask you a question and it will cause you to bust out in tears, that's not a very sound place to be emotionally. So that's something that you want to be able to address within yourself. Why did I have that type of outburst? What caused it? What was I feeling, thinking about? Why did that trigger my emotion of sadness or fear or being overwhelmed? Because fear is an emotion also. So we can ask ourselves, am I emotionally stable, sound, and supported? I feel like being emotionally stable is the goal. Because we have emotions, and our emotions can, at different instances and experiences and circumstances, it can flare up our emotions. And we may never even intended to become that irrational. But because something triggered the emotion, we reacted in a way outside of our normal behavior. So we want to be emotionally stable. And when we notice those qualities and things about ourselves, we want to kind of harness them, pull it in and say, how can I react better? Especially if you know that the way that you behaved as a result of your emotion, if I can control the emotion, then I can control the behavior. So the emotions are very important to keep intact, and being emotionally stable is very important. My behavior is affected by my emotions. Now, you have to ask yourself, and I ask myself, are my emotions getting the best of me? In some situations, yes. I've had instances where my emotions got the best of me. And sometimes we handle people incorrectly when our emotions get the best of us. We may fly off the handle, we may say something that we did not mean. And sometimes we say stuff we do mean, but maybe how we said it was the falter in that situation. Because we can always assess every situation to see how we could have improved our response. Life is about a response. How am I responding to a health issue? How am I responding to a mental issue? How am I responding to a heart issue? How am I responding to a relational issue or work issue? What's my response? My response could be based on fear, could be based on happiness. My response could be based on sadness or other emotions that I may be going through as a result of the situation that I'm in at the time. So are your emotions getting the best of you? That's something that we can always ask ourselves. And we can measure. That's a measurable goal. Because you can say, okay, last time I was around these people, I flew off the handle. And I could have done things differently. I could have said things differently. Whether you're around family, friends, co-workers, or whatever the case may be. We tend to conduct ourselves differently at a workplace than we would at a family gathering or just friend situation. We may feel like we have the right to overstep. And sometimes that's what we need to pay attention to ourselves. Did we overstep in this experience? In this confrontation I had, did I overstep? And we're talking about our own emotional health. We can't fix somebody else. We are fixing ourselves. And what we do is we get an opportunity to hear other people's experiences so that we can see if those experiences can apply to us. And we gain knowledge and we gain insight, revelation knowledge from other people's experience. I don't have to, as they've always said when we were growing up, I don't have to go to the stove and touch it if I just saw you get burnt. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to whether our emotions are getting the best of us or whether we are in control of our emotions. Now, how do you deal with subject matters? How do you deal with an instance that would arise? Say the teenager, got to the point where they came home late, past curfew. How are you responding to that? How are you able to or how are you reacting to the situation? And it should be sound. It should be in a stable way, clearly thought out. I remember I was having an anger management session with a parent and a child. And the child was not doing the chores as he should have been doing, as the father instructed him. So, and the garbage was an issue. And I said, okay, I'm the type of parent, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to do the countdown. 1, 2, 3, because you're not going to react until I get to 3. So if I teach you how to react on 1, then I don't have to go to 2 and 3. That's my way of thinking. So I feel like, darn, how did I get to that point of the matter? Yeah, so having discipline, being able to teach the young person how to respond to you when you give a command. And the young man, I shared with the father, I said, what you do is you tell him to take out the garbage 1 time. If he doesn't take out the garbage, in the reasonable amount, you're supposed to take out the garbage. Next, you take the garbage and you put it in his room. Her room. Put it in her room. If they don't, at that point, take it out, they feel like they can still procrastinate the situation, then what you do is, you go pour the trash on their bed while they're in it. So now, when they could have had a simpler situation, they decided to do it complicated. So, sometimes you got to match folk energy. And I think that and I shared that with them. It helped the situation. And because now the kid knows, oh, let me not get to that extreme. Because children have to learn how to manage their emotions too. That's why there are some adults that are out of control, because they, as children, never learned how to control their emotions, their angry emotions. Your feelings arise, and this is from the American Psychological Association. It's an idea of your feelings arise from an emotional experience. That's where you get feelings from. From an emotional experience, you create feelings. That's why something happened and we say, I feel some type of way. We don't feel some type of way before the something happens, but because that situation happened, that emotional experience happened, it affected me and I created feelings. So knowing that experience created a feeling in me and I feel some type of way. What type of way you feel? I feel angry. I feel like I'm violent. I feel like I'm at the point where it's homicidal. Some people get suicidal as a result of an emotional experience. Somebody can get fired and they become, of course, sad as a result of that emotional experience. All types of experiences we go through when it comes to divorce and marriage and relationships, and it comes to, relationships with girlfriends and relationships with our guy friends, and it's a lot. So we want to be able to give an appropriate response no matter who it is we're speaking to. And it's all about controlling yourself. The scripture teaches that if a man is able to control his tongue, he's able to control his whole body. He can control his life if he can control the things that comes out of his mouth. Because our emotions are the thing that our emotional experiences causes us to have feelings. And those feelings causes us to behave, causes us to react, causes us to respond. And how we respond, some people wind up in jail as a result of their response. Some people wind up in the hospital. Some people wind up in very awkward situations in different places as a result of their response. So we want to be emotionally stable. And that's being able to be in control of our reactions, being in control of our reactions. Another is being emotionally sound. Are we emotionally sound? Like we know that 1 + 1 is 2. That's irrational. That's a rationale, like a reasonable. It's understandable. It's simple, sensible. It's sane thinking, because that's the formula. So how are you? If you're being sound, you're rational. You're not irrational. You're not flying off the handle. You think things through. You think things through. And always resolve. Always resolve to be able to say what you need to say without damaging the person. And yeah, we know people do things to damage you, but you don't have to pay them back. You don't have to repay evil for evil. Somebody say things to you is being hurtful and they intended to hurt you. You don't have to say, oh, well, I know this. And why? What for? You don't have to. Let it go. Keep it moving. People are more important than things. And I think I always express that. Let it go. Now, if somebody put their hand on you, that's a different whole situation. I feel like anybody needs to be protected, protect themselves, because I'm all about that emotional health. We have to have what is balanced. And being sound, rational, it got to make sense. And I'm the type of person, If you know me, I ask a lot of questions. I do. I ask a lot of questions because if someone says something to me, it has to make sense. So I'll ask, just so 1 + 1 can equal 2. I want to get to the point. And that's why I really love numbers also, because numbers are loyal. It always add up. Always add up. So yeah. So are we being rational? Are we being sound in our emotions? Exercising reason, sensible, coherent to the present. Are you coherent to the present when you are in your emotions? When you are reacting, are you coherent to the present? Or do you black out and whatever shall be, shall be? I don't care who I hurt. I don't care who gets scarred. I don't care how many daggers I have to throw. When I react, I'm incoherent to the present because you're no longer in control. And if there's no one that can calm you down in a situation, then there is the lack of emotional healthiness. If nobody can calm you down, yeah, you're lacking emotional healthiness. You're not emotionally healthy because your reactions control your behavior. Or should I say, your emotions control your behavior to the point where you're no longer in control. The emotions are. And the emotions, they need to be guided and disciplined so that we can remain sensible, stable, sound. And the last thing I want to talk about in this E for emotional health is, are you supported? Are you supported by someone? And also, are you intentionally showing up for someone else? Because when you are emotionally healthy, you can show up for somebody else. You can be there for somebody else. And you don't have to be emotionally healthy in every area, because we're a project. We're, starting something in the middle of something, or we're just closing something out. So we're always working on ourselves. We're always improving, progressing. When you get to a place where you can be relied upon and you have that friendship, that connection with someone, to the point where they don't have to ask you, because you're like supported and that you're being a support. Emotionally healthy you have to be supported. There has to be somebody that you can go to build you up, to correct you. You remember I said in our behavior, get a friend who can tell you one bad thing about yourself to help you to behave differently, but also require them to give you 2 positive things about yourself, because we don't want to we don't want to beat yourself over the head. You don't want to beat yourself over the head for your behavior, because you want to improve that. If you need help, if you have this issue that you should be seeking some help with, it's a lot of help out there. And we all know what our problem is. The problem, we won't tell nobody. We need to tell somebody. We don't have the yellow books anymore, but we sure do have social media. Pop it in there. Find somebody to talk to. It's worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth being emotionally healthy. You're worth being stable in your emotions. You're worth being sound in your emotions. And you are worth being supported. It's your energy. You're worth being supported. Yes. We take time to do all the things that we want to do. So we have to make sure we take time to do the things that's important for our emotional health. You're worth it. Every single day of the week.